This is pagan. Africans go there with a sacred attitude, with awe and inspiration that our ancestors have built this, the greatest, most majestic civilization in antiquity. And the Arabs see it as a payday. How can we get more money out of these Americans and foreigners? How can we tell them that we got a discovery yesterday or 2 days ago that we already had in the museum so that we can get more of them to come here and give money to something that we don't even respect ourselves? No, this is subterfuge. And this is why they changed the names. Waset is a beautiful name, the city of 1,000 gates. Well, why were you going to change the name of Waseti, the city of power and splendor? And they said, no, we're going to call it Luxor. Well, why would you change? And well, the Greeks did the same thing. The Greeks called it Thebes. Same city, Thebes. The city of Menefer. The great city of Menefer, which if you go there now, it is nothing but vacant land. It was wiped off of the face of the earth. It was the greatest city of its time. The capital of Kemet, Menefer. And now they call it Memphis. That's where we get Memphis, Tennessee from, you see. It's a Greek name. It's not Menefer, but the Greeks went there and they said, we want to change it to Menefer. So anyway, I'm coming to an end. But this is a little more. I got to show you some pictures. You got to see some pictures before you can do this. Khufu's pyramid is perhaps the most colossal single building ever erected on the planet. 2600 BC, 2,600 years before Jesus Christ. There is no Jesus Christ, no memory, no thought of Jesus Christ, no thought of Buddha, no thought of Muhammad, no thought of any of them or that. 2,000 years before. Africans wasn't sitting around waiting. Well, 2,500 years from now, Jesus is going to come. Oh, you know, they wasn't sitting around thinking in 2600 BC that in 622 Muhammad would come. No. They're not thinking like that. They built for eternity. The Arabs arrived nearly 2,000 years after the first pyramid was built. That's as long it is from here back to Jesus. 2,000 years. The gap between when the black people built the pyramids and the Arabs came. And then they're going to tell Kevin Hart that they were not black. These were not black people. Well, they certainly were not white, and they were not Arabs. Aeschylus in the Suppliants has the character Danaz say of an Egyptian ship. I can see the Egyptian crew with their black limbs and their white tunics. This is 480 BCE. He's writing. I can see them. Herodotus says it is a fact that the Colchians are an Egyptian race because like them they have black skin and woolly hair. Herodotus says that. Book 2, chapter 104. That the Colchians, this is another people, are an Egyptian race. Now I had a question about that Egyptian race because in the language of Herodotus, in the Greek, the word ine Egyptica phile means something. I mean, is translated in the European languages Like in French, it's translated as race. Ils sont de race Egyptian. And it's translated in in English, the Egyptian race. But I changed the translation. They are Egyptians because, like them, they have black skin and woolly hair. Because I don't think that the word race was used by Herodotus in 480 or whatever BC. Right. That who would come up with that notion of race? That's a modern notion. He probably said ine Egyptica, but they put in this word filet to say basically race. But no, this is so we got to look at everything. We got to challenge everything, because they create all these things that mislead people. But this is part of our problem. Herodotus says the oracle of Donanon. Okay, and when they added that the dove was black, they give us to understand that the woman was black. That's when you remember I told you about the priest, and the priestesses of Donata. Now Herodotus, it makes it clear, the oracle of Donana of Epirus, which according to legend was Egyptian in origin, was founded by a black woman. And when they add that the dove was black, they give us to understand that the woman was black. All right? Aristotle says, speaking derogatorily about Egyptians, say, those who are too black are coward, as witness the Egyptians and the Ethiopians. The word too, I translate sometimes as very. You are very, because Aristotle, just quickly, Aristotle was always talking about what the median, the mean. That you have to be not too black, not too white, the mean. And his whole idea was that males were, from Greek males, were more in the mean. They were not too white. They were not like the Egyptians and the Ethiopians, very black. But he used that word because he knew that the Egyptians and the Ethiopians were the same. They were black. So he didn't have a problem with it. And remember that when Herodotus said this in his book, Physiognomy, that what he was he was not making a description, he was really making a derogatory statement, but it gave us the idea that he understood that the Egyptians were black people and they were black skinned. All right? Lucian, on the other hand, presents a dialogue, he's another writer, between Lycinus and Timoleus, and has Lycinus saying of an Egyptian boy, the boy is not merely black, he has thick lips and his legs are too thin. His hair worn in a plait behind shows that he is not a freeman. He's not a free man, all right? So again, blackness, okay? Apollodorus says that Egyptos conquered the country of the black-footed ones and called it Egypt after himself. So this is again blackness. Queen Ty. That's how they depicted Queen Ty. She looks just like the sisters in this audience, right? Queen Ty. Most powerful woman, in my judgment, of the 18th dynasty. She had been the wife of Amenhotep III, who was the richest king that Egypt had had up until that time. She was the mother of Akhenaten. She was the grandmother of Tutankhamun. She made another one of her grandsons king, and when his time was up, she chose the king Ai was his name, Ai. They chose him to be king of Kemet. This is how powerful she was, Queen Ty of the 18th dynasty. This is Mentuhotep II. Mentuhotep II, you can look him up, very powerful king who actually reorganized Kemet, the whole country, brought it back together after it had fallen into disarray and chaos. Mentuhotep II, one of the great kings of Egyptian history. All right. This is King Tut, Ankh-Amen. If you go to Cairo, unless they have hidden it away, you go to, because I was there and there was a big discussion in front of these statues. The two statues of, black statues of King Tutankhamun in the Cairo Museum, and there was a white lady asking an Arab guide, why are these statues black? And this one, I have to say, I have to give this Arab guy credit. He says, ma'am, because they were black. Amen. He was black. What's your question? What is this? He was a black man. So what are you? She couldn't understand this King Tut. Shouldn't King Tut be different? You see, and this is Nefertari, an image of Nefertari, the great wife of Ahmose, who led the beginning of the 18th dynasty. You see. So there are many pictures. This is images of the Egyptian musicians on the walls of the temples. Now, there's also a confusion. There's a confusion. I tell you, there's another confusion that we have to be aware of. And this is what people will do to you if you don't know. They will show you examples of white pharaohs. You know why? Because in the Metropolitan Museum of New York City, their largest collection is of the pharaohs who were under the Greek and Roman period. So you have to say, yes, of course there were Greek and Roman pharaohs. But what they do to people, what's confusing to people is people say, you say the ancient Egyptians were black, but I saw in the Metropolitan Museum that they had some figures that they look white. Yeah, the invaders were there.